We'll do a cold start here. This has been sitting all night, so I'll just let you hear it as a cold start. Kilometers on it. It's about 1,500 miles right now.
Welcome back to the channel, losers. This is Backdoor doing another video that's a little out of the norm for my channel. It's just that my first video on the Z900 had a lot of views, a lot of questions, so I just thought I'd do a follow-up. This video, believe it or not, is going to be yet another attempt at me learning how to motovlog. You know, I do things just like I do when I please my wife. Usually it takes 2 or 3 tries. So this is my 3rd try. The first video, the camera angle was wrong, the audio was bad. I fixed the video angle, and then the audio was terrible with my Amazon microphone. You would think buying a dedicated microphone inside your helmet would work, but that was not the case. So here we are, 3rd try. Hopefully I'm a little bit more clear and concise and to the point, because I don't write scripts and I don't edit. So what you get is what you get. It's free. I'm not charging you, I'm not even asking you to subscribe, although if you'd like to, you can. So, I picked this bike up in February with 0 kilometers on it, and as you can see now, I've got 2,265 kilometers, which is roughly, I think, about 1,500 miles. One of the things I want to talk about is the fact that, as you can see here, I'm going to pull away from a stop in 2nd gear. That's one of the things I really like about this bike, is that it has enough torque that you can routinely pull away from 2nd or 3rd gear, no problem. My old Suzuki used to be a real pain in the butt with that. That was my first bike, and that was 11 years ago. I don't know if it was me or if it was the bike, but nevertheless, that thing really didn't like pulling away from a stop in 2nd gear unless you really, gave it a lot of gas. This one doesn't. Even in the low power mode, it's in rain mode right now. The one thing I am a little upset about was the video I did yesterday. I was coming up to this intersection in, I believe it was in road mode, and I was at a red light, and the red light's pretty long, so I start talking about how, the thing that everyone asks me is, how is this in low power mode? And, because it being a 948cc engine, is it, a monster? Is it a handful? And, I come to this stop and I start talking about, the bike has been great. I've had no real issues with, the power being overwhelming in road and rain mode. So I put it in sport mode and I make the right turn and I goose the throttle, and sure enough, I'll roll the video. The angle is really bad, but hopefully you can catch the audio. So here, I'll just show you quickly. So let's see what happens. I'll roll off. So yeah, so the front tire started to come up, and I almost got a little bit of a speed bump. So I'm gonna watch that. So I guess it's gonna come up. And see. But basically the front tire came up a little bit, it landed, it did a bit of a wobble, and I panicked, of course. I don't know if the traction control came in or not, because I couldn't see and the camera angle didn't pick it up, and it scared the hell out of me, so I quickly put it back in rain mode. So I'll try to roll that in and let you see. But as you can see, we're in rain mode right now. 1st gear, I'm going to give the throttle, and it builds, but it doesn't, the wheel didn't try to come up. It just kind of gives you a slight pushback. And I would say I was at probably, 40 to anywhere between 40 and 60% throttle. I wasn't wide open, obviously, but, totally manageable. That's me purposely opening it. And as you can see, there's no drama. The bike didn't, want to do anything crazy. The front tire didn't come up. I'll check the video. I don't think the traction control kicked in because it usually makes a little bit of a noise and you could feel it. So, you know, definitely manageable in rain mode. Anything more than what I just did there is not an accident. That's not, you know, making a mistake. That's you asking for it. So, you know, rest assured for people who are a little bit worried about the power, this isn't, you know, this isn't going to be sport bike, leader bike aggressive that, you know, too much throttle is really going to get you up. In sport mode, what I just did probably would have got the tire to wanting to come up a little bit like it did yesterday, but again, you know, if you're putting in sport mode and opening the throttle up that much from a stop in first gear, then I mean, you either know what you're doing or you're asking for it, or you know, you kind of want the front tire to come up, and you're driving like a hooligan. So that's you know, that's what I could say about the low power mode. It's not bad. I do find that the low power mode is actually what I'll show you is I'll put it in road mode. So as you can see, it's in road mode, and I'll just show you what I mean about the throttle being a little bit herky-jerky in full power mode. It's a little bit on and off, like you let off the throttle and you really feel the bike. I don't know if it's the engine braking or what, but you don't notice it as much in the rain mode. So that's kind of why I keep it in rain mode. It's not even it's not that I find road mode is, you know, too much power or anything like that, because I'll be honest, the power actually feels about the same. I really never felt like the power was overwhelming, or, you know, for the style of driving I do. You know, I keep it in relatively low RPMs. It's just the on-off nature of the throttle is a little bit too much. It's a little herky-jerky, and I've heard a few other people on YouTube complain about that even before I bought the bike. Again, it could just be me. You know, I'm still, you know, I've only got about 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers all time under my belt. So here, I don't want to, you know, exaggerate it too much, but, you know, so I'll just roll off the throttle, and you can see it's a little bit herky-jerky. And again, I'm sure I'm exaggerating it a bit. It's not really that bad, but I definitely do find it a little bit better in rain mode. So that's you know, the difference between the modes on the throttle response. I just think it comes in a little bit milder. Not so much that, you know, you're getting the bike's rated at 125 horsepower. It's not that you put it in rain mode and you're only getting, you know, like 75 to 80 horsepower. I think it's just the throttle is muted. It comes on a little bit slower, and regardless of the mode, I will say that I do find the bike is very progressive in that, you know, as you saw me going up that little hill in first gear, I had the throttle open the same, you know, the same level the whole time, and the RPMs just build completely linear. There was no, you know, sudden spike, or there was no turbo like a turbocharged car engine where, you know, 3,000 RPMs, it's nothing, and then all of a sudden the turbo lets all that air into the engine and it just pushes you back. You don't get that with this. I find that with this, the bike just builds the power very linear, very smooth. So it's not gonna, you know, throw you back. And take it for what it is, guys. I really haven't opened this throttle past 60 or 70% on any given sprint. So maybe the nature of the bike is completely different, you know, under wide open throttle. That's just not how I drive. Usually I stay in the 3,000 to 5,000 RPM range. That's just, you know, how I ride. I do find that once you get above about 5,500 or 6,000 RPMs, you do notice a little bit of vibration in the foot pegs. Like, so right now I'm at 4,000, nothing. But, you know, as soon as you get about another 1,000, you really do feel the vibrations in the foot pegs. Nothing in the handlebars, which is good. But I do notice that you feel it in the foot pegs, and it's not bad. It's just, you know, I'm just going to mention it. I think that's pretty characteristic of most inline four engines, is that, you know, they build RPMs. They build RPMs really nice and smooth, and then they get to the point where they just kind of become buzzy. From what I can tell, as far as gearing goes, I find that typically every time I go up a gear, the RPMs drop about 1,000 RPM. So if I'm doing 60 in third and it's 5,000 RPMs, if I go up to fourth, it goes down 1,000 at the same speed. So that's the gears I think are pretty closely. It's a close gear ratio, and I don't know if that matters to anyone, but it's just something I find that you only drop about 1,000 RPMs when you go up. I'm just going to do a quick little highway jaunt here, just to get up to speed, just to show you. So I'm in fourth gear now, and I'll just maybe go into fifth or sixth, but I'll try to catch it on camera because obviously I'm not going to look, and I'll see what the RPMs go to at roughly about the same speed. I really can't comment on the suspension. I really wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Anything I say would just be, what somebody on YouTube has told me is what it's doing. It's not that I can actually comment on it because I really don't know the difference between rebound and preload and all that crap. Just for you to know, I'm 6 feet. I'm about 240 pounds. A lot of that weight is in my belly, and if this bike fits me perfect. So just for my dimensions. So here we are. I'm doing 108, which is about what is that? 65 miles an hour, and we're barely at 5,000 RPMs in sixth gear. I've never really gone too fast on this bike, but regardless of what gear I'm in, I've always found that if I twist the throttle, the bike just goes. It is a little, there is a little bit of a dead spot in this 3,000 to 5,000 range. Like, you do notice it, but again, you just twist the throttle and the bike goes. I'm not even opening it up, and it builds speed really fast. I really don't think anyone would ever get on this bike and feel that they're locking for power. I mean, even if you were coming from a sport bike, the torque and the power is just very instant, and for me at least, it's always there. The brakes again, for me they're perfectly adequate. I'm still, trying to get a hang of riding, sporty. I find that if I'm coming up on a sweeper, it's either I'm on both sides of the spectrum. It's either I'm not braking enough speed and I'm going wide, or I'm braking too much and that I'm not leaning, I'm just kind of like turning and coasting through it at a slow speed. So I'm still trying to get the hang of that. Ergonomics again, for me, 6 feet, this bike just fits me perfect. It's the one thing I'm really happy about, because I bought this bike, just without test driving it, and not really ever sitting on many bikes. Just I just bought this bike. I sat on it and I kind of said, yeah, you know what, it seems nice. I'm going to buy it, but I really have no point of reference to compare it to, and I've been really happy in that it just fits me really nice. The seat is comfortable. It's thick and padded. I don't ever feel like when I get off the bike like, oh my god, my ass hurts or anything like that. The handlebars are perfect reach for me. They're just, they're not too far back, but they're not so far forward that I'm leaning or on the wrist, on my wrist. It just feels really good. The mirrors were the only thing I don't like. I've kind of adjusted them as best I could, but I'd prefer maybe bar-end mirrors. Those might be a little bit better. They work, but they're not my favorite. I still feel like I have some blind spots, and a lot of times I have to move my body to really to see, especially if I'm on the highway. The bike, obviously, like all Kawasaki's, has the positive neutral finder, which is a nice touch. If you're at a complete stop, you just push up and it won't go into second, it goes into first, so that's nice. So the longest I've been on the bike at any one time was about 2 hours, and again, I got off the bike, didn't have any issues with it. It felt perfectly fine. Comfort wise, no aches or anything like that. If I was to change anything, it would be, I would want to maybe put the foot pegs a little bit lower, just to have a little bit of less knee bend. As you can see, my knees hugged it. I don't know if you could see, but my knees hug the tank pretty well. It's just I would prefer my feet a little bit lower. Nothing too much. I'm happy with it the way it is. Like, it's not something I'm going to go out and try to change. It's just, if I could change, I would. The only other complaint I have would be the windscreen. I know it's a naked bike, but by that rationale, if it's a naked bike and you're either don't put a windscreen and not put this, or put a proper windscreen. I find this one just all the wind hits you in the chest, which it's not bad, but when you're doing 110 on the highway, especially I did a lot of riding in March and April when it was windy. It was a little annoying. And then if you want to get the bigger one, they charge $200, and even then, from what I've read, is it only comes up like an extra inch and a half, and it just kind of pushes the air into your head if you're 6 feet tall. So it's not even it's not even fixing the problem. It's actually just making the problem worse, because instead of your chest, the air is hitting your head. So I don't know if that's better, unless you try to like really tuck under it. But that's not the type of riding I do. So so really those are my only complaints, would be like the lack of wind protection. Again, not a major complaint, knowing that I bought a naked bike, and the on-off of the throttle in road mode, and or the engine braking. I don't know if it's the engine braking or the on-off, but sometimes it just feels like you let off and the bike just slows down a lot, and then you twist the throttle and it doesn't feel nice and smoothly. It just, like you see, it kind of pushes you back. So here, I'll go down into second gear and I'll just try to rev it out. So I'll let you hear it when you get up to like. So that was 10,000 RPMs. As you can hear, it sounds really good. It has a beautiful induction noise that I'm crazy about. Like, when you get up in that range and you hear the induction, it just sounds really awesome. The exhaust, I mean, to me, the exhaust, it's not obnoxious. It sounds fine. I would like to, put an aftermarket exhaust on it to get it sounding a little bit better, but I also don't want to, toe that line of getting obnoxious where, I live in a community where, I don't want to be pissing off my neighbors every time I start the bike. And, there's a couple sport bike guys in my area, and it's just really obnoxious. So, that's something I might want to change later on down the road. But again, that's, after maybe 10,000 kilometers, I'm just trying to learn the bike and actually perfect my riding. Again, because I'm still relatively new. Again, just in case I didn't mention, it's a 2020. It was a special edition model, which comes in the blue. I picked it up in February for 10,000 Canadian. So I don't know what they go for in the US, but it was 10,000 Canadian, and they waived the freight and PDI. I feel like I should have got a better deal in February, but with the pandemic and all, nobody had any stock, and a few dealers I did go to, they all said we're not getting any stock because of the shortages in Japan and blah blah blah. So I paid whatever, and I'm happy I did, because March was relatively mild, so I did get to do a little bit of riding in March, which in Canada is pretty good, considering we barely were above freezing point. So other than that, the clutch is an assist and slipper clutch, and I do find, like I said earlier at the beginning of this video, that pulling away from second gear, I don't know if it's the torque or the assist clutch, but it's really easy, and maybe it's a combination of both. But I will say that just screwing around, I wanted to test the slipper clutch, so I was going about 80 or 90 in first gear, and I just I kind of put my hand over the brakes, and just in case. And what I did was I was in second gear, and I geared down to first just to see what would happen. And sure enough, I guess the slipper clutch kicked in, because I felt the back end kind of do a little tiny fishtail, very slight tiny fishtail. The power felt like it cut out, and then I just all of a sudden caught and then carried on forward. So I think what it does is it just allows the back wheel to slip rather than to catch, hop, and you know, because the engine's going so fast that the engine's going too fast compared to the speed of the back wheel. So if it didn't have the slipper, it would just hop, I think. I don't know. So I did test that out. It was a little nerve-wracking, again, because, you know, these things are all new to me. So, you know, when you feel a little bit of loss of traction in the rear wheel, it's a little unsettling when you've never had it before. Just like that little tiny wheelie I had. I'm willing to bet if I saw it, my wheel probably never came up more than, you know, more than just like a millimeter or two. But just landing and then the little bit of wiggle that it had really scared the hell out of me. And you know, maybe it's not something I'm going to try again until I'm a little bit more comfortable. Or if I do try, instead of doing a power wheelie, I'm going to try to do a clutch up wheelie. I've heard people say that, you know, with the clutch up, it's a little bit easier because, you know, you can kind of gauge how much power, how much RPMs you're giving it before you let that clutch out. And the other thing is, you know, you could do it in second gear rather than first gear. So in first gear, they said that the wheel will come up a little bit further. So anyways, those are the questions I get asked all the time. Or, you know, is it a good beginner bike? And like a true beginner bike, probably not. If you have a little bit of experience and or are mature and responsible, I don't see why not. Like I said, in rain mode, the bike really has never come close to biting me, and the traction control will kick in, and you know, you just got to respect it and treat it, you know, with the respect it deserves, because at the end of the day, 125 horsepower is a lot for a street bike, right? It's not, you know, geez, some cars don't even have 120 horsepower, just, you know, as little as 10 years ago. So, you know, if you're going to be responsible, it's fine. I've had people ask me, you know, I don't want to buy a small bike and then have to upgrade after a season, or, you know, what's the difference between this and a Z650? I'll be honest, I went to the dealership looking to buy the Z650 because I was terrified of this bike. If you watch my first video, I think I mentioned how, you know, I equated this to the same as a leader bike, where, you know, it's almost 1,000 cc. It's putting out all this power. It's going to be a wheelie monster like the Yamaha FZ09 and MT10s, or even the MT07 is supposed to be a wheelie monster. So I sat on the Z650, and it actually felt a little bit too cramped for me in the foot pegs. And the asking price that what was in stock was only $2,000 less than what this asking price was. And for me, $2,000 where I can get, you know, more power, from what I understand, better suspension, and then on top of that, you're getting the TFT display. I don't know if the 2019 Z650 had the TFT or not, but the big one was the traction control, because I figure, you know what, if traction control kicks in and saves my hide at even one time, it's well worth that $2,000. So for me, the point of difference of $2,000 I said, you know what, I'm going to get the Z900, I'm going to respect it, I'm going to, you know, just take my time, and that was it. And you know what, I'm so happy I did, because like I said, it really isn't the monster that I thought it was going to be, and it's very livable, it's very usable, and in some cases it's actually, you know, more livable in commuting because of that torque. Like, you know, I found with my old little GS 500, I always had to shift gears, and that's what drove me crazy about that little bike. Was it was you know, constantly wringing out the gears because it had so little power. I think it was rated at like 43 horsepower, and this one, you know, a lot of times I could ride around all day in third gear if I want, and not have to worry about anything. Like, I won't have to change gears once. So for me, that's livable, especially in traffic. You know, I've been in fourth gear going 70, and I've had to pass someone, and you know, it just takes a little. Watch, I'm in third. I'm doing 73. I just, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see why anyone would need more than that on the street. And that's in it is road mode, and that's like, I'm not really giving it. I'm just, mildly opening up the throttle. So for me, it's more than enough. And I think for a lot of the people who are on the fence about it, just be honest with yourself. It's like I say in some of my gun videos. When you're talking about what you want and what you need, just be honest with yourself. Don't BS yourself saying, I drive my car like an idiot, but I'm going to buy a powerful motorcycle and I'm going to be so responsible, because you know what? After 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, and you're a little bit familiar with it, you're going to do stupid shit just like I did. Like, I was there trying to make a YouTube video, trying to do a wheelie, and I almost, I don't want to say I almost went down, because it really wasn't that bad, but it scared the hell out of me, and it's just me being silly, right? So be honest with yourself, look how you drive your car, and engage from there. But if I can handle it, trust me guys, you can handle it. There's nothing here that's, any more intimidating than, the Z650 would give you. At least in my opinion, if you drive it responsibly. So if you have any questions, by all means, please feel free, just ask me in the comment section. I'm pretty good at getting back to people in the comments, and if I fail to cover anything, just let me know and I'll do my best, and maybe even do a follow-up video. So the one thing I will end on is, if this matters to some people, I don't know. I'm getting 16.3 kilometers per liter, which works out to about 36 miles per gallon. That's with me, having the occasional, stoplight racing. But for the most part, that's mostly highway driving and, driving in a relatively low RPMs. I've seen people on YouTube get 40 miles per gallon. But I'm at 16.3. When I first got the bike and I wasn't very smooth, I was only getting about 32 miles per gallon, which was a little unsettling, because I was, couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And I think it was just a combination of, always letting the bike warm up too much, and not being very smooth. So anyways, if you're buying a 948cc inline 4 for gas mileage, you can expect about 36 miles per gallon. So yep, guys, hit me up if there's anything. Please check out some of my other videos if you like guns. I'm still working on the girl content. I can't find any girls. So if you have any women who want to be on camera, send them my way. Take care, guys.